Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mo. In today's video, I'm going to be wrapping up everything that I read in May, and then I'm going to let y'all know some of the books that I want to read in June. So I first read Her Radiant Curse by Elizabeth Lim. I ended up giving that one 4.75 stars, and I do have a vlog where I binge her Of Blood and Stars duology and then the Six Crimson Cranes. It was a duology, but then Her Radiant Curse is the prequel to it. The way I read it made the most sense for me, but a lot of things were just like callbacks to the other duology, and then also like what happens in the future. It was just like you had to be really mindful about the chronological order of everything, basically. Oh, let me tell you the summary about it, and then I'll get into like my feelings about the book. So in this book, we're really following Chani, our main character. She was cursed by a demon witch early in age. She made Chani look like a snake, and everyone in her village thinks that she's a monster except for her sister Vanna that she helps take care of. Vanna is the most beautiful girl ever, and especially in this village, and her father and stepmother want to basically have suitors choose her and marry her off so they can continue their status and continue reaping the benefits of having a beautiful daughter. And Chani's not going for it. So she's like, I'm going to literally duel with the suitors, and if I win, she gets a choice. So that leads to a quest, battle, some romance between enemies. This one, at first, it's just like gives off contemporary with like little bit of fantastical elements, like maybe if you read like magical realism, and then like as you get more into the book, further into the series, you see like fantastical elements more. I would say though that the pacing was slightly off for me, and I don't know if that was because I wasn't really in the headspace to read it. I took like a break from it, and then I came back to it. And when I came back from the back, I was crunching on that book. Like I was not playing about that book. But when I was first reading it, I was just like, okay, like I'm ready to get into it. I am seeing a trend. I do think that I like the first book in a series more just by the pattern of my other series that I've read before. I don't know. I just feel like I like the layout, I like the foundation, I like knowing everything. Not everything, because you know a lot of things get revealed, but I do like knowing stuff, and just the setup of a first book I am into so much. And yeah, anything that I didn't talk about again will be in that vlog, so I will try to link that in the description box, and it should be up in one of the cards as I was talking about it. I did end up reading Six Crimson Cranes next by Elizabeth Lim. I give that one also 4.75. So in this one, Six Crimson Cranes, it's kind of like more folk tale-y and fairy tale-ish in my opinion. We're following Shiori, or Shioriyama. She is a princess, and I believe she's the only girl out of like 7 kids. The rest of her older siblings are boys. A powerful sorceress tries to keep them from telling like this big secret, and they where this land, magic is forbidden, it's outlawed, so this shouldn't been happening anyway. But a powerful sorceress turns her brothers into cranes, and there's 6 of them, so 6 crimson cranes. In this, she loses her ability to speak and like help them out, so she's trying to figure out all these ways to like release them from this curse and also get back home. Like it's just a whole journey. There is a little romance in here too. The next book that I read was the sequel to that book. It is The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim. I gave that one 4.5 stars. I think this one read a little bit differently for me in terms of just like the pacing, and just overall I felt like it got more intense. I would have much preferred if Six Crimson Cranes was just a standalone. I agree. Ozzy has made this point before at Ozzy's Orbit here on YouTube. She's made the point Elizabeth Lim would really eat if she would stick to like the standalones. Like I think she would eat. Like I know authors have to get to their money, but sometimes you just gotta put down the pen, put down the computer, you know? Next, I read Work Husband by Octavia Grant. This is the first book that I read in my 24-hour readathon, which y'all should watch that if y'all haven't already watched that. Honestly, I just read this because I saw that it was 60 pages and the cover intrigued me. I found it randomly on Kindle Unlimited, and I decided to give it a chance. In that 24-hour readathon, I do spoil the whole entire book, so if you feel like you're not interested in the book and you're not going to read it, I would recommend just listening to the spoilers because it was interesting. I'm not going to lie, it was tea. It was tea. I would only recommend this if you really like trashy, maybe reality TV. This might be up your sleeve, I think. I was very shook because I was like, damn, what could all happen in just 60 pages? But a lot happened. In this book, we're following Crystal. We're only in her point of view. Her marriage is failing, and she's trying to get out of it, but her husband is just like, no, we're gonna work through this. So in the meantime, she is literally screwing her coworker in the office. Like on their lunch breaks, they have a little fun. So basically, it's just what happens after that. And the author put like a note in the beginning, like, this is a lesson to know that like people in corporate, like people in your inner circle or whatever should be off limits forever. Like that's law. Yeah, it gets diabolical. It gets insane. Lamar is like detached, and Crystal becomes so obsessed, and she does some insane things. Like it's very psychotic. Yeah, I cannot rate this book. This kind of book, I enjoyed it. There was some sex scenes, by the way. If you're into spice, there were some spicy scenes, but the spicy scenes weren't even what I really cared about, which like is crazy if you know me. Sometimes it just adds a little razzle dazzle, but in this one, I really didn't care. I was trying to get past the spicy points. I don't want y'all to read that because based off of this, I'm like, oh, this is tea, but like there's also really dark themes in here. So definitely check the trigger warnings for books that you're interested in. And then next in that same video, I read Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is my first Tiffany D. Jackson book, and I gave it 5 stars. I definitely want to get to The Weight of Blood. Monday's not coming, and then allegedly, I'm kind of scared of allegedly. I'm not gonna lie. I'm scared of her, but I feel like I'm gonna like it. Anyway, in Grown, we're following Enchanted Jones. She wants to be a singer, and she gets taken under the wing of Corey Fields. She's 17, going on 18, and he is 28. It talks a lot about the sexual exploitation and grooming that goes into power dynamics. I don't think the author necessarily said that this was inspired by R. Kelly, but there are a lot of themes that are very similar to that case. So if any of that triggers you as well, I would not recommend this book, but if you can get through this, I can't really explain this. Like, I didn't enjoy it because I was really uncomfortable a lot of it because he was preying on a young girl. Like, that's not okay, and no one was believing this girl. Like, I didn't with that at all. Just the story and the way Tiffany wrote it, like, I wasn't captured. It was good. It was good. It was good. I don't care what no one says. And there was like a thriller element, which I don't read thrillers for a little. So if you're a thriller girly, pipe down, okay? Because I know a lot of people were really critical about this part of the book. It does flashbacks back and forth because Corey ends up dead, and Enchanted is woken up with blood on her hands from him, and it looks like she did it. So yeah, that's all. There are like a lot of twists and turns I did not believe, like people that we begin to trust, we can't trust, you know, the over-sexualization of Black girls. Someone was being held against her own will, multiple someones. It was intense. I next read A Man Called Ove by Fredrik Backman. It was really close to 5, but again, the first 40%, I was like, damn, this is just so boring. And only because the tone of it was just like monotone and very straightforward, because we're in Uva's head and he's just this grumpy old man that is really over life. It was very heartwarming and it was very dark at times. It was funny. It was just beautiful. I really loved it. I loved the side characters. I loved everything about this, honestly. It only wasn't 5 because it took me so long to get into it. I almost DNF'd at 30-40%. And then next, in that same video, I read Spells to Forget Us by Brophy. I talked a lot about it in that video, so I won't get into it here. It obviously wasn't horrible. I gave it 3.75, but I didn't love this as well. This is gonna be released September 18th of 2024. This is following Aoife and Luna. Luna is a witch and Aoife is a non-witch. She's just a regular human. In this world, humans are not supposed to know about magic, so if they decide to date someone that wields magic or whatever, they have to get their memories wiped. Something happens with the spell to help her forget. They keep going on these meet cutes and they keep meeting each other and like falling in love again and again, and then they figure it out at some point and they're just like, damn, you again? I liked it for what it was, but some things I was like, yeah, this is not for me. I was not the target audience for this book, even though I thought it was. The cover eats. I found this because the cover, and it was on NetGalley. And then next, I read Just for the Summer by Jimenez. This is the 3rd book in the Part of Your World series. I really had high hopes for this one, but something wasn't fully clicking with me. I think it was because at this point of the challenge of 24 hours, I was very delirious and tired, and I didn't want to read anymore. So even if it was interesting, I didn't care. The beginning started off at a good pace. I was like, okay. Jimenez is this thing in her contemporary romances that are like 400 pages, by the way. There will be the romance, but there also will be a personal journey. Like, that's how a lot of people feel about Kennedy Ryan, Emily Henry. That seems to be what a lot of people like in romance, which I do. But sometimes I'm like, okay, 400 pages. And again, this obviously reflected a lot on how I was feeling mentally. I was really tired. Anyway, about the book. So we're following Emma and Justin, I want to say. Justin makes this Am I the Asshole Reddit post, and he's like, every girl that he dates ends up finding the one, her soulmate, right after him. And he's like, what? It's a curse at this point. So she responds to it, and then they chit chat, and it goes from there like very quickly, because she also goes through the same thing. And they devise this plan. They're just like, maybe we should date and then break up and then see what's up. It's a lot. They both have mother issues, and then there's like characters in throughout the series. These are, I think, considered interconnected standalones. The first book is Alexis, and then her best friend Brianna is the second book. And then in this one, I was like, who the f are these people? I don't remember these people. But then you get different people from the different books. And I love the way Abby tied that together. Like, she ate that up. I'm not gonna lie. She ate that up. Yeah. This was a solid book, but it wasn't 5 for me. And then to conclude that 24-hour readathon, I didn't finish the book in that video, but I did start The Do's and Donuts of Love by Adiba Jaigirdar. It was just fine. It wasn't bad. It wasn't too good. And this might be because I'm not the audience. This is for a younger audience. It read a little younger to me. I think late middle school, early high school. I really don't even know. I don't know if they're going to college, child. I don't remember nothing. If they were high school seniors, they did not feel like it to me. The setting of this book is like kind of like the Great British Baking Show. It's set in Ireland. She gets on this cooking show, basically this baking show, and her ex-girlfriend is there, and then a new crush, a new girl is there. And there's just a lot of hidden motives and betrayals. There's also, at one point, they're getting like on the internet for being Asian. Crazy business, crazy work. There's like familial issues. It was fine. That's all I got. So next, I read The Space Between Here and Now by Sarah Suk. This was really interesting. There was something that the main character had. It was called time warp sensory syndrome, which basically it attacks the 5 senses. Each person is different. So hers specifically, if she smelled a certain smell, it would take her back to a memory in the past, and she would have to sit there in the memory as a ghost and not be able to interact with the memory or stop it. She just had to like stay with it until the memory kicked her out, basically. And in real life, I think she would disappear and then pop back up. There was a little messiness in it too, child. I didn't think it was gonna get messy, but there was a little bit, because it was like she was on a search to find another parent of hers, and then the parent that she did have wasn't really like empathizing with her. There was a therapy conversation, and her dad's Asian, and he just like, nah, I don't know about that. I don't know about none of that. We just gonna thug it out. You're gonna figure it out. You're fine. Nothing is going on with you. But then at one point, she was gone for like 8 minutes or 20 minutes, and she was like, this is not normal. I need to see a specialist. So yeah, she's on this journey to find her other half and figure out her identity. And it was very interesting. I really liked it. It was 4 stars. Then next, I read Witchlings 2 by Claribel A. Ortega. This is the Great Frog Games, the Golden Frog Games. I gave this one 4.25 stars. We're back at it again with the little host shenanigans. Yeah, that's it. That's really it. I read 200 pages a day. Yeah, this is the book that I started that with. 200 pages a day for a week. Yeah. I finished this one in a day, so I was eating it up. I loved it. There was magic, twist, darkness, friendship. Something about it, like just the bond of friendship, just girlhood, womanhood, I live and I breathe type shit. That's where I'm at with it. But in short, if you want to know about this book a little bit, we're stuck in Seven's point of view, but we follow the other 2 witchlings. One of the girls, she decides to join the like Golden Frog Games. It's like this tournament that everyone in the town is obsessed with. People come from different places and they compete. Someone is turning people into stone, and they're framing the girl, and they're trying to get to the bottom of it. If you like middle grade, I would definitely give this a chance. And then next, I read Lyric by Ray Huffington. This is the 2nd book in the Eisenberg Effect series. I was dragging my feet on finishing the series because I was like, damn, these books are long. But it's like, girl, you've been reading long books. When has that ever stopped me? Anyway, this is Brother's Best Friend. I don't know what else I was gonna say. That's like the main trope. Following Lyric. Lyric is the youngest of 3. She's the only girl, and they spoil her, all this stuff. And then there's Keanu, which is like her brother's best friend, but like he's a part of the family. She's had feelings for him for a long time, and she stamped them down. Then she expressed them at one point, and she's like, okay, the ball's in his court. And he fumbled. And then he's trying to get back in her good graces about that. And the whole book is just her being like, oh, I just really don't want to put my family in a tough situation again, because the last relationship she was in 10 years ago ended in her brother going to prison. So she's like, I can't break up my family again. Like, that was hard on all of us, especially me. Yeah, that's their story. It definitely could have been 200 pages shorter. There was some creative writing when it came to the spicy scenes. It's not going to be for everybody. It wasn't for me, honestly. I read them. And yeah. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. So next, I read the 3rd book in that series. It is Lake. This is the middle child, and he is hilarious. He is a fool. If you have read any of the books, you know how Lake get down. He's just a man whore, honestly. Baisley is his love interest in this book. He was with her for like 13 years, since they were 13, and now they're like 30. But I don't remember how long they were apart. But he basically left her for a season so he could figure himself out and see the world and experience whatever bullshit people tell you so they can f around with other people. He did, and broke her heart, and she's like finally started to rebuild herself up and, you know, live her life and move on. She literally was getting fianced. He breaks the wedding party, girls. So he's groveling. I love a good grovel. I love people down on their knees being like, baby, please. Bring that back. Bring that back. Sometimes I wanted to just do that to Lake's head because he was just so stubborn and bullheaded. Like, is it the same word? That's the same thing. He was just so stubborn. Like, just sit down and listen. Like, you don't listen. Then I read the last book in that series. This was Liam. It wasn't in the 200-page video, I don't think. I did read Liam's book, That's the Dad. It was very strange to me because you think you know somebody. It's like, as I was reading the series, I was just hearing about them, the Laura and Liam, the parents, as like these older people, their parents. You don't ever want to read a book about your parents having sex. So it took like a flashback back to when they were younger and they had just had Lake and they were about to conceive Lyric. There was some tea. I will not tell you what the tea was. I will say, though, this was a good segue into another series, The Domino Effect. It leads into that. I have not read it because I read the trigger warnings for it, and I'm not ready for that right now. There was unexpected sex. Again, like, you think you know somebody. You don't. And it was really nice seeing Liam's soft side because a lot of in the books, he's just very, like, tough. He's very tough, to say in simple words. Like, he's just no nonsense. Y'all gonna get the job done. Like, you could see in this book how he started training them up at as young kids. He had Luca counting $100,000, and he was like, okay, if you can count that, you can have it. It was just very interesting parenting. I'm glad that I decided to finish the series. This is The Magic Fish by Trung Lee Nguyen. I gave this one 4 stars. I actually cried at the end, y'all. I don't know, something about reading like a baby queer book, trying to find themselves, just a journey to acceptance, and just like if they want to tell people or if they don't, it does something to me. This was a middle grade graphic novel. It was just very wacky. It was told from the perspective of the young boy, I don't remember his name, and his mother. They were kind of telling the story through storytelling, reading a book together, him and his mom, and then real life, and then the story, and then, you know, blah blah. Like, it was basically like the tales from their culture. It was just a great story with beautiful illustrations. Coming to terms with his sexuality and figuring out if he wanted to tell his parents or not, and how he was going to. I will say, content warning, there was bigotry in there. Like, I think he goes to a Catholic school or something like that, and one of them was just like, I have screenshots. If you don't want to hear this, skip to the next book, sorry. All the parents I've counseled describe the heartbreak of their children coming out the same way. It always feels like a death in the family. You. Disrespectfully. And I'll put on the screen like some of the screenshots, because it did remind me kind of when I read Spin the Dawn. There's like this by Elizabeth Lim. There's like this walnut that carried magical dresses. Like, honestly, if you read Spin the Dawn, it's very similar, because there's 3 beautiful dresses that they had to take from the moon, and like all these different elements of the world, and they can put it in a walnut, because the walnut captures magic. I don't know. There's also this character. Also, I'm gonna put a screenshot. I think it was just so funny, because it's like, sister, we bald-headed, we tried to save you. I'm putting that on there. No context. Anyways, there was this character called the Old Man of the Sea. He very much gave, if you watch Adventure Time, the Ice King vibes. Just disgusting. Desperate for a wife. Decrepit. Ugly as hell. Nasty. It was very wacky, I think. 4 stars. And then lastly, in May, I read Just Another Epic Love Poem by Parisa Akhbari. I gave this one 3.5 stars. And honestly, this is one of the books where I was like, I should just DNF'd it, because it never felt like the right time for this kind of book. If you're into poetry and lyricism, you'd probably really enjoy this, but I'm not. And I just kept trying to push myself through this book. I had soft DNF'd it, then I came back to it because I was like, I couldn't find another book by an Asian author that was debuted that I was interested in, which I'm sure as soon as I'm done with this, I can find one. But I was really searching, and I could not find one, especially in the time crunch, because I finished this on the last day of May, because I was like, this is my first readathon. I'm going hard. I'm not gonna fail. This did deal with BFFs to lovers, abandonment, drug addiction that led to trust issues, and self-sabotage. We're following Mitra and B. They're best friends. They write this poem together that's like never ending. The rules are that they never use punctuation. They don't write it in it when they're mad. They never end it. They just trade the book, the little notebook, and it is what it is. We get B's poetry, so we do hear from her. But we're in Mitra's point of view the whole time. Mitra has been obsessed and in love with B for 2 years, and she's just like, oh, how am I gonna continue being friends with this girl without telling her? And it's just their journey. I'm not gonna tell you more than that, because I'd be spoiling it, but it was really good. It was really good. I just feel like it would have been higher if I was in the mood to read it. And that's all that I read in May. I read 16 books. Now I'm gonna get into the books that I want to get to in June. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna get my honorable mentions out of the way. Okay, so y'all know about this. If I do not get to this in June, it's going back. This is a library book. This is also poetic. It's this tiny. If I don't get to this book, I don't know when I will. And these 2 books, a coworker friend of mine lent them to me a long time ago, and I've never found a time to read them, because I don't know. Look at that, what somebody did. I'm just not that interested in them, but I want to read them because she really wants me to talk to her about these. She was just like, oh, I got these books that I think you would enjoy. So I was like, okay, we'll see. And I know y'all are so tired of hearing about this. I will not talk about this anymore until I get to it. If it continues to become like, oh, it's on every TBR, you won't see this again, okay? I need to get to this. Out of my physical books, this is the highest priority. I'm scared of her. I want to read, okay, there is another readathon that I am participating in. It's currently going on. The Asian readathon was done from May 1st to May 31st, so it's done. But there is a Cowboy Carter readathon hosted by Ty from Book Tribe with Ty. Most of it, I think she's posting about on her Instagram. These books, this one is a book that it's gonna be like kind of for a prompt in that readathon. This is The Mothers by Britt Bennett. I don't remember what this is about. I got this from my used bookstore. I got all of these from my used bookstore. Don't remember what this is about. I know there's like a young mother in this, and I don't know if it's like multiple mothers and it's like, oh, what it's like to be motherhood, but one of the prompts is a book following motherhood. And then another Fredrik book, Backman, Tink. This is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. This young girl, her grandmother passed away, and she's basically was like, give all these letters out to all these people I fucked over. So we'll see. I feel like a lot of people are not going to be that welcoming because they're like, fuck your grandma and get off my porch. So then we're reading, ooh, not the price on it. Hold on. Because it's got the price and the name of the bookstore. And I try to keep an element of mystery about where I go because people on the internet are scary. And you're not going to get me caught up. The fuck? Not that I'm like anybody that anybody would be like, but you never know. The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School. I want to get to this, but this is by Sonora Reyes. We're following a 16-year-old. She, I think, was outed at her other school and was like maybe bullied or something like that. She left the school, went to another school and was like, I'm just trying to be under the radar. Like, period. I think. Yep, after being outed by her crush and ex-best friend, transferring to Catholic school, blah, blah. Don't fall in love, make her mom proud. So I think I'm going to love this. I honestly think I'm going to love this. I've heard about this for years and I'm into it. Yeah. And then there's probably other books that I want to read, to be honest. Okay, so if you want to be done with this video, you can be done. But I'm going to talk about the Cowboy Carter readathon, some of the prompts, and some of the books that I want to read for that possibly. Since it started in May, I've already used some of these. So the first one is American Requiem, or Amen. The prompt is the first or last book in a series. And I did read Her Radiant Curse and also The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim. So, yeah. Then Blackbird, that one's theme is book by a new to you Black author, Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. 16 Carriages, book about a character's personal journey. The Magic Fish by Trung Nguyen. Protector My Rose, a book featuring motherhood. So that's what this is about. Texas Hold'em, a popular book. I was going to read Bodyguard, a book with summer vibes, just for the summer. Abby Jimenez. Don. Jolene, a retelling. I want to read The Weight of Blood. That's a Carrie retelling by Tiffany D. Jackson. Daughter, book with Western vibes. I don't actually have one. I was trying to read Forbidden by Beverly Jenkins. Couldn't get into it. Sorry. I'll try her again. I know she's a classic. She's an OG. Not for me right now. Spaghetti. It's a genre mix. Sci-fi, fantasy, speculative fiction, literary fiction. Alligator Tears, underrated book or author. I don't know. That could be really anything. I don't know. I do tend to read a lot of popular books though, so I gotta see. Just for fun, an emotional read. This is literally the prison industrial system. There's a lot of discrimination. There has to be racism, something. Okay. And also I wanted to read The Girl with the Louding Voice. I actually do have that physically. I didn't grab it. That's by Abby Dare. If I get to it, I get to it. I don't have a lot of pressure to read that one. Beautiful, gorgeous cover. Two Most Wanted, my favorite song in the whole goddamn album. This is sapphic representation, which I already read The Do's and Donuts of Love, and I've read just another epic love poem. Levi's Jeans, Cowboy Romance, don't have one. Flamenco, book with featuring a different culture than your own. Well, Yaya, book that touches on Black American history. I do have Sola by Toni Morrison. I got that from my used bookstore as well. It's in my room. I don't know if I want to read that. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. And really, this is history, even though it's fantasy, because it talks about Black people in prison. And that goes back. Desert Eagle, book that's too short. This is kind of like in a placeholder. I don't know. We'll see. Riverdance, gun on the cover. Could not find a book with a gun on the cover. I randomly found this one book on KU. I downloaded it. I'm not really wanting to read it right now, but it is Born of Blood and Magic by MC Hudson. It looks like it could be gay as well. Two Hands to Heaven, a love story that reminds you of classic R&B. I assumed it was going to be this because it's poetry. So, and then Tyrant, book with a little hood in it. I put Lyric by Gray Huffington, because yeah. And then lastly, Sweet Honey Buckin, book that should have won an award but hasn't. I don't know. Because like, honestly, I'd be like, ooh, this book was so good. Let me see if it has a reward, and it has an award somewhere. Maybe not like a huge one like all these. Maybe not, but it'll be good, and it'll be like a small award or something like that. So that's the end. If you got to this far, leave an emoji for me. Leave this emoji, the one that's like, I think I already said that in another video. Oh well, do it for, no, do the little guy with the hat on, the cowboy hat. Do that for me. Yes. Well, yes. And tell me what was your favorite book in May that you read, or like your top 3 and what you want to read in June. If nothing else, thank y'all for being here. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.